Blog Talk Radio.
You are now listening to the Evolution Hour with hosts Rob Gauthier and George Spirakis. Hey everybody, this is the Rob and George Enlightenment Evolution Hour. This is Rob.
And this is George.
And we're here today to do a very, very great show. For those of you who might not have been here with us for the last couple of weeks, we've changed our format around a little bit, and it's so exciting. What we're doing now is we're taking some clips from channelings. We're doing a little bit of the channeling every week where me and George do a session together, and we take a couple excerpts out of that, and we talk about it. We're also taking our callers as normal. So if you guys have a question about some of the work that's going through there or anything that has to do with growth and development and raising vibrations or anything you need to talk about, give us a call. Let us know. We're here every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. That's 6 p.m. Pacific. And you can get a hold of us a couple different ways. If you want to listen to the show live or to call in, you can always go at area code 213-943-3434. And if you prefer the internet, there's always the links on Blog Talk Radio that we post on Facebook weekly. And there's also a way that you can call in from using Blog Talk Radio, and that's signing up for a Blog Talk Radio account, signing up for a Skype account, and then when you go to that link that's on our Facebook page every week, there will be a blue button on Skype there, and you can click that, and it goes straight to connecting you to call from Skype. So that's a brilliant way to do it. Also, we have a new email address. Me and George finally got one set up for last week, and the email address, if you have any questions, concerns, ideas, concepts, or just want to share a beautiful story with me and George, please write us at all small letters, and no capitalizing, no dots, no nothing, all small letters, one word, the Rob and George Show at gmail.com. That's the Rob and George Show at gmail.com. Give us a holler anytime you want. We're here every week, like we said, and we're willing to take these calls. This is what our passion is, our excitement, our love is to do the show and help raise the vibration of everyone who wishes to have their vibration raised. And we also do this every week out of the kindness from our heart. We do it for free for everyone so that people who don't have money can still get this information. It's such useful and beautiful information. If you choose to donate, we can always use donations. It's not a huge cost, but we do pay a little cost every week of about $39, or every month, about $39. And we average 1,000 listeners per week. So if each person threw in 10, 30, 50 cents a piece, we could make that bill, and it would be completely great. We also use, if we get more donations, sometimes for equipment for both of us to get the internet signals, things like that better. So it's really great. I really appreciate all you guys who listen, whether you give a donation or not. We love you guys. This is what we're doing here for you. And for you, brother, I know this is one of your greatest excitements as well.
Absolutely, brother. I'm so excited to be here again for another great week of discussions and discourse regarding the ascension, the raising of vibrations, and to help all really focus and understand on their own divinity and how wonderful and great every single person is. And again, just excited to be here and look forward to the show tonight.
Oh, absolutely, brother. I'm looking forward to the show, too. I know we do have a caller who's online, and we'll get to you in 1 minute here. Before we do, there's a couple more things we got to go over. First of all, brother, tell us a little bit more about the idea that we've had for the new renovation of the Rob and George Enlightenment Evolution Hour and how we're incorporating the concepts of Treb's work into the show and expanding on that.
Yeah, thank you, brother. Yeah, it's when we originally talked about throwing back and forth ideas regarding how to better serve our listeners. We came up with this idea of getting more of a current state of affairs on current energies that are going on that are being sent to us, anything that might be out of our knowing regarding things that we should know, things to help us through these little aches and pains of the ascension that might help our listeners. And so it's really wonderful to be able to have this, have a channeling done for the show on a more current level. So I'm so excited about it. There's so much great information that is being told each week. So I'm really looking forward to tonight.
Absolutely, brother. And every week that we come here, there's obviously information that's given out. And this is where your guys' backseat comes so important to us. Anything that you guys input that you can give us is dear and very close to our heart. Even the idea of playing audio clips from a version came from a very close friend of mine who I love dearly. She has expressed the concept of maybe taking clippings out, and then when George had talked about that before too, and then George had the brilliant idea to do it every week. I was thinking about taking them out of some of the old sessions and bring them forth, but George had the brilliant idea. So it was a great co-creation of not just me and George, but all of you guys, and that's why these ideas are so important to us. And that's why we said, too, we got the email set up for therobandgeorgeshow@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you guys. Anything that you want to hear, anything that you don't want to hear, anything that you feel is important, you're the reason why we're doing this. You're the reason why we're doing the show. We're trying to co-create an experience for all of our growth. And I think the concepts that are shared here are very, very priceless. And now that we've incorporated some of Treb's material into it, too, then it really, really takes the cake. It really brings out that finishing touch of beauty. And I absolutely love the new way we've got it set up, too, brother. And thank you for that co-creation.
Oh, thank you, brother. Yeah, it's wonderful, and again, the archived sessions are also timeless, as we know. There's no time-space issue with hearing channel messages from, a year ago, 2 years ago, whatever. It's all current. Everything is in this one moment. So we should always remember that when we listen to sessions that were done in the past. And again, the another addition to the new format is adding channelers and other people that are in our community to help expand the awareness of what we're doing and getting their thoughts and ideas on helping the collective as a whole. So I'm very excited about that.
Oh, absolutely, brother. And that reminds me too that next week we do have a very, very, very special guest. This is a channeler. Many of you have heard of him. His name is Daniel Scranton, and he channels the entities known as the creators. It's collective consciousness. Most of you might have seen this on Facebook. There's a lot of his work that gets shared through Facebook, as it is the majority of it that I've ever seen is written down. But there are YouTube videos that shows his channeling, and he has a very unique connection style. Something that is very unique. It's very similar in some ways, too, to the way that I connect to Treb and the ways that he uses vibrational tones to connect to his higher self. And I think that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And he's a really great person, and he will be on next week. And we're going to have him not just doing interviews, not just having me and George ask him questions about his own personal experience and things that are important to him, but also to have a channeling from the creators as we speak to them on air. And all of you who can call may feel free to ask questions and to get your own answers from this channeled information. So please be aware and be ready for that. And we have a few other people lined up, and we're going to set those dates here real soon. And once we do, we'll definitely notify you. But it's a very important part to keep people in the spiritual community up to the forefront. I know me and George are great, and some of you guys could listen to us probably every week without having concerns, but it's nice to mix it up a little bit and get fresh perspectives and new concepts in here.
Absolutely, brother. Yeah, so excited about it, and thanks again for this co-creation of you and I, and of course our wonderful listeners, because we wouldn't be anywhere without them. So thank you so much, listeners.
Yes, absolutely. I know we've got a lot of clips to get through tonight of some of the Treb work, but we have had someone who's been waiting online here for quite some time. Do you think we should take that call now then, brother?
Yeah, let's do that, and then we'll start the clips.
All right. We have a 360 area code. 360. Who do we have with us this evening?
Well, hello. It's Risha at my ringside.
Risha.
How are you both?
Great. How are you?
Absolutely excellent. I'm sitting right at the edge of the Pacific Ocean where I've had a place here for 2 years, and it's just an awesome day. The sun's about ready to go down, and it's just gorgeous. And listening to everything you're saying is just opening my heart so much. I want to share it with you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that. And I've never had a chance or opportunity yet to see the Pacific Ocean, but I've seen the Atlantic many times, and I know it's very beautiful, but I know the Pacific has this energy of its own, and it's quite different from the Atlantic Ocean. I can't wait to experience the West Coast, and I imagine in the next couple of years that'll be a definite goal of mine, is to get over there.
Well, the water is so special, and this is a lot of water that I'm looking at. I mean, I think it's, as part of Gaia, it's like its own live being. I've come to find, it's just like, and it's part of me now too. I don't know if that makes any sense. But
sure. Sure, you have all those Lemurian energies coming on the Pacific Ocean and all the way down the coast, so that's probably what you're feeling, Risha.
Oh, wow, I never thought of that, but I welcome that. Yeah.
It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Is there anything, too, that you want to talk about tonight? Any specific questions or ideas or just an experience that you wish to share?
Well, yeah, actually, what I've been thinking about the last week is about Treb, and I want to say hello to Treb, too, because I know that he's probably always here with you. But and I was thinking about his openness and his love for us as humans, and it feels to me like his words are so closely aligned to our human ascension experience. I wonder, I got me to wondering, how does he know humans so well? I mean, it seems to know, like, he knows how we're enslaved by our beliefs and how we came to be enslaved by them. So that was like the first part of my question. The second part was his teachings are that he gives us, and that when we can open and take them into our heart, are these the teachings applicable in his experience too? Or is he like just teaching us something to get us through this human experience?
Oh, those are beautiful, beautiful questions. Brother, go ahead and place your insights out there, and then I'll do the same right after you're done.
Well, I think, Risha, that, Treb, of course, is a higher dimensional being, and all of the higher dimensional beings are aware of planet Earth and the universe in general. So the actual laws of nature apply really to all of them. Their perspective is different than ours. Ours is a more perspective of duality, and the awareness that they have, and by reaching our vibrations, they're able to know what we're going through because of our dimensional frequencies and the awareness that they have. They're able to provide that perspective, and Treb does a wonderful job to that, and a lot of the positive and loving is coming the channel itself. So that's a pat on the back to Rob, that is a channeler with that big loving heart, and he's able to have that wonderful loving filter to go through. So it's a beautiful experience. Thank you, Risha, for noticing and saying, talking to us about that.
And thank you, brother, too, for the compliment. And George is absolutely right. He's on the money with all the things that he said. Treb is very familiar with humans just because he's able to connect to me. The way that we connect is so deep and so intimate. I have a very good understanding of who Treb is, and with that understanding that I have, his is 5 times the amount for understanding me because he's able to merge with my energy so well. Not only that, he's also had the opportunity to connect to tons of different humans since we started this work. Literally, thousands of people have had a chance to talk to Treb at this point, and it's been a very, very intimate experience. He gets excited. You can hear it in his being. He gets very excited each time he gets to talk to a new person because he's able to see a different reflection of humanity in whole. And I think he really, really enjoys that. This is his highest excitement. Now, as for the teachings being applicable in his reality as well, or if they're used, I don't think that those teachings are even necessary because of the evolution of their own self. It's a natural default setting, so they don't have to work at it. He understands that we have to work at it. So it's just like teaching a kindergartner how to write and how to do their ABCs and put little words together. To us, we do it without thinking. It's been practiced so many times that it's memorized. It's almost like a muscle memory of the soul. And when that happens in his race, it literally becomes second nature. Treb explained to me one time, he doesn't have a wife. It's not like wives that we have. It's not a marriage and one thing. There's no sexual beings to themselves in that specific race. But he explains that there is a entity that he connects to highest vibrationally, and that's her. And they both use both of their genes to produce children. And when they do that, that becomes almost like a wife in the family. So he describes in our human understanding, he is able to love that wife, the children, the people who us humans would think would be the closest people to him. He's able to love them with such a high intensity, but in trade for that, he can love a rock or a stone or water or a flower or an animal in the same capacity, the exact same. And there's a reason for it. They're fifth density entities, and the fifth entity itself is the mastery of knowledge. They've already graduated in the fourth density from the mastery of unconditional love and pure, true, unconditional love of everything. And that's exactly what they've done already. So really, I believe that it's a default setting. So the teachings they have, they use, but they don't have to put effort into it. It's set by default, really.
Oh, wow. That's so good. And it shows me, your answer was showing me how we slip into the third dimensional and then back out again as you speak. I got it. Oh, that's so beautiful. Thank you both.
Oh, you're welcome, Risha.
Absolutely welcome. Is there anything else you want to talk about? Because I know we do have a couple other callers here real quick. So actually what we'll do, Risha, if you do have another question, let us know, and we'll put you on hold until we can get another couple callers answered real quick.
Good. I'm looking forward to the clips, too. Thank you.
All right. Beautiful. I'll just set you on hold then, and we'll get back to you when we get a chance here. Thanks again, Risha, for the beautiful question. I think we'll go to our first clip first. We do have a couple other callers on hold, and sorry to make you hold, but we want to get through at least a couple of these clips tonight, so we'll go ahead and play the first one. And it's a very short clip, so we'll go ahead and listen to this and then reflect on it, brother.
All right, sounds good.
All right.
I was wondering if you could tell us about, for the show tomorrow, any current energies, any changes from last week to this week that you could explain to our listeners.
The changes within the energy from last week to this week are very little. There are specific energies dealing with the lunar cycle that are different, as it is always changing in a very short period of time. But within the concept of overall energy, it is much as it was last week. There is still remnants of oneself dissipating. Many entities are seeing this in great disbelief as negative attributes are being removed. Pain is coming to the surface. Negativity in their lives seems to be at a peak. And they do not coincide, this idea, with the concept of the sharp energy rise in August, as they see that August is when this was supposed to affect them. But in all trueness, as we have expressed previously, this is not the height of the pain or agony, if you will, that you feel that you are experiencing. This height of agony and experience that you are having will only be at its precipice when you are truly ready ability to remove it from yourself. So the precipice of pain or agony to each individual's perception will truly only be measured in their own ability to remove and to let go of these faulty belief systems.
All right, brother. What is your take on that clip? It was a wonderful clip, I think.
Yeah, well, there's actually a lot being said there. Basically, what he's saying, these energies, and really to know how it's affecting us individually, is how we're feeling in our relationships with others, the pain, whatever pain or that we might be experiencing, or the perception of pain, or maybe depending on whatever relationship you're dealing with. He's basically, these energies have pushed us to kind of really take a look within into our belief systems and say, okay, why am I feeling this way? And again, as a backdrop to what I'm saying, to realize that we signed up for this experience and really forget about that point. Sometimes it's easy for really all of us to do that. To remember that we chose these different experiences to show us about ourselves, that when we incarnated onto this earth. So these experiences that we're going through were basically to show
All right, brother. I think we lost you. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry about that.
Yeah, we lost you for a second. Go ahead.
But I think basically these energies are pushing us to really take a look within our belief systems to find out why, ask ourselves the question, why am I feeling this way about this situation? And again, it's going to affect all of us differently depending on our individual actions and how we perceive things. But I think with him saying that, it gives you more of an idea of okay, we need to look within. Why am I feeling this way? Why is this situation affecting me in this way? And it gives us a really beneficial chance to really look into those belief systems and break them down and let them go, because we are all aspects of the source, which is love and light, and if we're not in that alignment of love and light, these different perceptions of difficulty will arise. So it's beautiful, and the way that he broke it down really says a lot on what we need to do, and again, go within. So I thought it was great. Thank you, brother.
Oh, thank you, brother. It was absolutely perfect explanation. What I perceived too from that also at the very beginning, he said that most people expect that height of pain to have been in August, because that's when the energies really peaked back up again. It was one of the sharpest peaks of energy, and he had been talking about the several months before, since the original December 12, 2012, and that's really big. That's a very big energy. The 2012 mark was the precipice. It was the actual peak of energy coming up and then going back down. And since then, August was a very, very huge energetic time period. And so most people thought, well, August came and went, we should be done with this stuff. But if we're holding on to it, we can't let it go. And it's very, very important to let that go. And that's very, very true. And that's exactly what he's trying to explain to everyone who's still going through and saying, why isn't this done yet? It's because we're still holding on to some belief system in ourselves, and we've got to let that go. All right. Right now, we have another caller who's been waiting patiently, and I
Absolutely,
appreciate
brother.
you. 406 area code. Who do we have with us this evening?
Hey, Rob. It's Jesse. I don't know if you can hear me.
I can hear you a little bit. Who did you say this was?
Oh, this is Jesse. I've talked to you
Jesse,
a couple
how you
times.
doing, bud?
Yeah. Good.
Hi, Jesse.
Jesse, how you doing, bud?
Good. It's been a while. It's cool to see you starting up the Blog Talk Radio. I just want to say thanks for that. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's our pleasure. It's our actual highest excitement. That's why we're doing it. How's Montana treating you?
It's good. It's starting to get cold, so I'm like, oh, hell, the winter's coming. It's like a Game of Thrones episode or something. Yeah, I'm trying to get burrowed down, get ready.
Oh, I know it'll hit hard. I was just up in North Dakota, and it's very similar. Your next-door neighbors with, so I understand how that is. So, what do you want to talk about this evening with us?
I was really curious about, I guess, two things. What is your experience of Treb like when you channel, and I think we've talked about it a little bit, when you're on the astral realm, like what have you gained from actually being out of body, and is it the way, in conjunction with that kind of, is it the way that you think of it? Like, do you remember everything? Like, I'm kind of curious what you've gained from being on the astral, being on a different plane of consciousness when he's there, and how that's kind of aided in your life and how that experience is in general. And then I guess on the second part, completely unrelated, was you had talked about how the fourth density was a mastery of love, and it's kind of a mastery of love, I guess, as Treb explains it, for yourself or for everyone, and then for yourself. And I'm curious on that level of second-type entities who have mastered the love of one's individual self, how is that different, I guess, than the other level of mastering love for the collective or the all, how that experience is? So, yeah, those are my two questions.
Oh, thank you, Jesse. Those are great questions. And I'll start off on this one for the experience with Treb, too, because basically what happens to me when I go into a channeled state, I don't know a lot of channelers who experience this, or at least they haven't mentioned that they experience it. But the way I experience Treb when I'm in a channeled state is through the astral projected state. And before I ever channeled Treb, I would connect Treb for 2 years before I started channeling. Every day I'd connect to him in that way. But there's 3 different versions of how I connect to him. Let's say I'm doing 10 sessions. Out of those 10, 6 or 7 of them will be where I astral project and I'm sitting with Treb, or standing, walking, whatever the case is, and basically I'm connecting to him and we're speaking. We are very, very close, very good friends. I look at him like an older uncle or a big brother, or a positive, enlightened male model in my life. So when I connect to him, we just exchange pleasantries, we exchange information, we see how each other's day is going. So it's a lot like individual conversations you'd have with your friends. And that's how it's done for most time, and that is astral projected state. He's explained too before he comes down a little. I go up a little, he comes down a lot, and that's kind of where we meet at. I've been able to see all sorts of things through that. I've been on his ship before. I've been on his planet before. I've been several places before with him. So it's a really great, neat experience. Out of 10, if let's say 6 of them are in the astral projected state in that way, then another 2 of them, 2 or 3 of them would be where I'm connecting to something that he needs to show me. And this, again, is the astral projected state, but he's not there with me. He's showing me either a place, an entity, an experience, a time period, a part of the universe, something that he thinks I need to know for either mental, to have it in my mind bank, emotional, whatever the case is, what he feels that I need to know, he'll show me in that way. And the very least amount of time when I'm going into a channel state, out of 10 times would only be 1. And usually it's not even 1. It's like 1 out of every 20 or 1 out of every 30. I'll be in a deep meditative state or a light astral projected state, but there's no matter around me. It's just like I'm in a deep meditation and I'm observing the session at that point. Now, the other 2 times, the other 2 kinds that I do in astral projected, I don't hear one word of the session. The next day when I wake up, I will turn the session on to re-listen to it, and I don't know word for word what they're going to say, but I do. It's like I've already learned it. It's like when you're looking back at things you learned as a childhood in school that you don't need on a daily basis, and you're like, oh, I know that. that's kind of how that works for me. Now, how it's affected my life, it's been a huge difference. I was kind of able to astral project really lightly before I started connecting to him. I'd have a little bit of OBE, but I never controlled it. And actually, to this day, I still don't control my out of bodies. If someone says, "Hey, go to Japan and look somewhere," I can't do that. I can't mark it like that. I just leave my body, and wherever I need to be, I am. So it's not really like a controlled environment. It's just a leaving the physical body. And in that astral state, I'm able to observe, just like we are in our dream state. One person said, I had a dream, and I was at my aunt's house. And I'd never been to my aunt's house, but I knew it was her house, even though I didn't know nobody was there. Well, that's exactly how I take in information. It's not just seeing. It's not just hearing. It's not just feeling. It's that sixth sense. And there's often no accompanying of smell. Sometimes if I do smell, then I won't hear something. It always seems, for some reason or another, one of my five senses is gone, plus the addition of that sixth sense. So it's a very, very unique perspective for that. And for you, brother, please explain the idea of the fourth entity and how that translates with the negative entities to that unconditional love. How do they experience that unconditional love in a different way than a positive entity would?
Well, I think as a basic foundation, we have to understand that in order for the human race to have survived for so many eons in the third dimension, there needed to be a planetary consciousness of reality that seemed like reality, that seemed real, but it's really an illusion. When we look at if we understand that the fabric of the universe is love, and we understand that the third dimension is basically that source light, but it's so densely packed in this duality consciousness that we're in, that you'll start to understand as what the shift is all about. The shift of ascension is lifting off those layers of darkness to let more of that light come in. So you know, the higher density beings are all they're made of this higher light source, this source of light that we are, and when we start to really delve into the idea that this is an actual illusion, because the density that we're in this third dimension has really not let a lot of that light, source light, come into our consciousness. And again, for this ascension period is 16,000 years. So as we kept on reincarnating into this life, our basic consciousness has always been into this third dimensional kind of density. So when we cross that veil, when we incarnate into this third dimensional, we're already embodied in that heaviness, that density. So we forget about the source light and what we really are. So that's a great question. Thank you, brother.
Oh, absolutely, brother. And something I want to add too, I think also it should be explained too a little bit about the fourth entity difference between negative and positive as they're growing. The positive and negative entities stay together. We're splitting out on the earth right now as we speak. We have been since the 21st. That's the beginning of the separation. And there's a 9-year cycle until we're completely split. And during that time, we're jumping back and forth. And that's why we're able to have that positive and negative experience. But most of us who are going to have an ascension per se, in the way that most of us think ascension, we're literally already set to the way we're going to go. It's usually a large makeup of ourselves that's one way. There's very few people who are balanced perfectly between positivity and negativity. So it really is one-sided. And when we take that one-sided, that's the way we go. A lot of people are fearful of what way they're going to go because they are close to that halfway mark, but it's not really something to worry about. Both sides benefit. Both sides grow. A lot of people think negative entities automatically are punished, that this negative fourth entity, they've heard horror stories about it through other channeling, how it's like Hellraiser. I've heard one guy explain it like that, and everything Treb taught me is definitely not resonate with that idea. It's not like that. It's more of being who you are. And if you're a person who prefers to take care of yourself, who prefers to stay disconnected, who prefers not to see things as one and always have separation, well, all that is you're getting more of that. And yes, negative things can happen, but that's a part of your makeup. There are people, a lot of people who I've met who are just really frantic, and they are almost empty without that craziness and drama within their existence. They don't feel right if they're not involved into that. And those people will be comfortable there. Even if they seem like I'm upset, they always are. Now, as the fourth density progresses both ways, obviously everyone understands type 1 entities or positive are going more towards that oneness, more towards connection. And the negative or type 2 entities are going more towards that separation. But it's the degree of separation that you want to experience that you do. There are some type 2 entities who are just like us humans. They have good, a lot of good in them, but they still have a little bit of that negativity, so they can sense compassion. They can sense love inside themselves. They just don't act it out. They're willing to infringe on other people's free will to get that happiness. And that's really the standard definition between type 1 and type 2 entities. And seeing that as a separated degree from type 1 to type 2, at the end of the fourth density ascension, they are ready to go on to that knowledge base. And the mastery of unconditional love for oneself can be huge variant in the degree of how much love for themselves they have. It can be all the way from, well, we really love our fellow people on our planet, but we just can't stand those darn Asians, or we can't stand those South Koreans, or whatever they're thinking. And then the other way can be literally, I want to separate, segregate, dominate everything around me because I want power. So literally, a type 2 entity has such a huge array of possibilities, where the type 1 is very narrowing in the degree of difference that they have. And that's why a lot of people appeal to type 2 entities. Even in channeled sources I've heard that I believe are type 2 entities, some people appeal to those because they have that variance in them. They have the ability to still be a little dark. And as humans, that's what we are. And we have to love that. We have to embrace it. We have to accept our dark sides. If we don't, there's no good to contrast with it. There's nothing that can come out of that can be absolutely positive to show us how good we can be.
Absolutely, brother. Yeah, we all have a shadow side. That's correct. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, brother. Is there anything you wanted to expand on that before going back to Jesse?
Well, I think we'll have to do a show on this, but I think for our listeners to get a basic idea of the, dimensions are not, they're not like spaces. They're more like energy bands. They don't exist in a time-space continuum. They're energy bands that are basically overlapping each other. Like if you had a hologram and there were certain layers overlapping each other, forming a hologram. So again, this could get really deep, but if we understand that depending on our personal vibration is where we make the shift to the higher dimensions and the higher the fourth and the fifth dimensions. So that's a great question, and we should actually do a show on actually what goes on there, and that they're actually all here now. And as we raise our personal frequency is where we can shift to these different parallel realities of higher vibration.
Absolutely, brother. I think you nailed that one on the head. And I want to also thank you, Jesse, for calling in. We appreciate your call in, and I personally understand how much you followed the work with Treb and how you really resonate with Treb's work, but also with the Rob and George show work that we've been doing, and we both thank you from the bottom of our hearts for supporting us through this.
Yeah, definitely. I really appreciate the time that you guys put in, and I mean, I love that you bring up kind of loving the dark also side, loving, or at least, being aware of it and accepting it on some level, because
that's the duality.
It's really weird. Yeah, I mean, not all the channelers, but many channelers, it's almost like a rejection of anything negative in lieu of only being very loving and kind and all those qualities are good. And so it's really powerful to hear you kind of talk about stepping into having that variance, also, and also being accepting of that, because I think that's a powerful message that that you don't hear very often. So I just want to say thanks, and we'll talk soon.
All right, Jesse. Well, we thank you too, and I also think that's very, very important to bring up, because a lot of people whose channeling doesn't resonate with that is, in my belief, it's often a belief system in the channeler themselves, and the channeled entity can't get around that. Treb's taught me that from ground one. That's why I think I really appreciate the fact that I astral projected with them for 2 years before I started channeling. If I would have, even when I decided to channel, the messages never came through exactly how they should have for the first 6 months or so, because my beliefs still weren't open. A lot of my mindset wasn't. But now that I've opened myself to all possibilities and resonated with what he explained to me about embracing all parts, and if you have something bad in you, well, that right there is a judgment. You place a judgment on that part of yourself, right, and it's automatically going to be negative because you've judged it. And the lack of judgment is really what Treb's taught me to do more than anything else, is to embrace the understanding that all parts of you are equally valid and that there should be no judgment placed on you. And we thank you so much, too, Jesse, for calling in. Thank you. If you don't object, brother, we'll go to the next clip.
Let's do it.
This one's a little longer, so here we go.
Steve, thank you, Treb, for that. Could you tell the listeners the proper ways to do that, the easiest ways to remove these negative energies?
Removing of negative energies, if you will, is very simple in the concept of being able to have many variations of meditative states to help remove this energetically. But mentally, the pain will proceed for many individuals until they remove this faulty belief system overall. There are many ways to remove belief systems, and this can be as individual as specific meditations are for each individual. Meditations are a very great tool, but they are not what you would express to be a universal tool. If one meditates in a clear way, that is definitely in the same way that they have for many times, the entity who stands next to them will use this exact meditative state and not be able to hit the same effect for once. So it truly is about being aware of your own thoughts. It is truly about being aware of the own concepts and momentum that is driving you to release this. If there is pain, this is one way. This is one concept that often allows change in one individual's life. But overall, there is much easier ways. When you see belief systems that you know are faulted, when you see belief systems that you know no longer are serving you, the concept is to try to remove them as quickly as possible. If you are able to do this before the emotional red flags appear, such as pain, anxiety, depressive states, this would be much easier for you. You can do this by being aware of the thoughts, by when a circumstance comes to you to show you that this belief system is faulted, to deal with it in another way. For instance, let us use an example. Let us say there is an entity who is consistently worried of the state of their relationship that they are within. So when a upheaval or uproaring, if you will, comes within the relationship energy, they are consistently ready to argue and to fight and to make their position and stance heard. Now, this is a very potent belief system because there does not have to be a fight within relationships, as it truly is a reflection of your own self coming back to you. So to remove the fight in any situation, you must be not willing to fight within yourself. The concept is, when this relationship uproar comes to you, to understand and accept that this is one view of another entity who, although is separate from you, is also a projection. And why is this specific words or actions they are taking affecting you in such a negative way? The answer can be often as simple as it is because you are not believing in yourself to be a great entity, or the words they are expressing to you, you see some truth in this and this hurts your person as an individual. So how do you remove this belief system of fighting? You must understand that the representation of pain that are being caused from these words or actions is only a self-reflection. So you take this self-reflection, understand that this is only a faulty belief system, that you must love yourself, that you must see yourself in a great light, and then any words that are being expressed will never be able to affect you in such a high way. And then you are now seeing this played over and over, and every time the confrontation comes to you, release the fight. Do not fight. In this situation, understand that the words are not true, as they are only a reflection of anxiety within yourself and the inability for the entity across from you to control themselves as well, and that the co-creation can be directly handled by your own ability to see your own greatness and to respect the entity across from you as an independent and sovereign entity. Being aware of this and practicing this repetitively is truly the only key to be able to remove such deeply ingrained belief systems that are faulty.
That was very great, brother. What did you take from that?
Well, basically, I mean, the basic breakdown is if you're loving yourself, and the other person, the person in this particular example, this co-creation of an argument, if you're loving yourself, the other person has no other choice. How can you fight with love? I mean, if you're sending love vibrations out, the other person, I mean, they can't fight against that. You know, it's like saying, you know, somebody saying I hate you and you saying I love you. You know, it's like that can only go on so long where it just kind of breaks the person down. But when that shows you basically that's a perfect example of the law of attraction. What you put out is what you get back. You know, it's if you learn through these examples and you kind of monitor yourself through your day, through your week, through your year, that how you're handling yourself. Are you loving yourself? When you're loving yourself, you can only attract love back to you. So that's the basic thing I got from that, and it was so beautiful.
Absolutely, brother. I think you hit it right on the head with that one. Another thing that he talked about right at the beginning is that often when we feel these pains and when these situations come up to us, a lot of people want an answer. How do we get through these belief systems that keep causing this pain? And basically what he's saying is there's no universal answer there. What I can use in meditation, you might not be able to use, and what you can use, I won't be able to use. And although meditation is a very good tool and a very universal tool, none of us do it the same. We're always, I've heard Treb describe it as individually based as fingerprints are to each one, or a snowflake. So it's the understanding that if we can't use meditation to purge some of these negative belief systems, then we have to rely on our awareness. Being aware of that self-love and implementing that self-love over and over and over again, and also understanding why these things keep coming up and repeating this in your mind over and over and over again. Practice makes perfect, and that's what he's saying. If you can't do it with meditation, practice makes perfect, and that's exactly how we should do it. And that's exactly what I got out of it, brother.
Absolutely, brother.
I think we'll take another clip here real quick. We'll run through this one, and then we'll take another caller afterwards.
Sounds great. Yes, that makes sense, Treb. Thank you so much for that.
Yes!
To expand on that, so when one, for your example, when one entity is fighting with another, what should the entity do that understands these concepts and is learning to love themselves? Do they not confront this person? Do they not? Is it better for them to stay away from each other? But when the two, let's say, for example, one is yelling at the other one that knows these concepts, how does that person? How should they react? We know that the fighting is not a positive way to act, but but should the other person just walk away, or what? How should that confrontation be approached?
Again, this is individually being well aware of your own awareness and how you react and how you counteract in situations of this magnitude. But there is two ideas or approaches to this concept. There is the idea of removal of physical space with this entity so that you may examine your own existence until you can positively reinforce the concept of connection and love to your own self. Or if you are willing or unable to not be around the entity who is projecting this to you, to remind yourself that we have expressed earlier all of the concepts of an entity being projecting its own pain onto you, forgiving this entity, understanding that it is sovereign, and to verbally express to them that you understand the concepts that they are sending to you and that you love them. You must be able to send love to a portion of consciousness that is attacking you, because truly this is a reflection. This is just a reinforcement of self-love being played out over and over again. So if you are not able to be physically there and to be able to withstand the type of bombardment that often come in humans' perceptions of arguments, then remove yourself from the situation. But if you are strong enough to remind yourself and to know that this is truly a reflection, to know that this entity is giving back this energy to you as a representation of their own independence as well as pain, as well as a reflection, then remind this entity that you are aware of why this entity is coming to you in this painful way and that your love is still with them. These are the two greatest or easiest ways to handle a situation in such an environment.
That was very, very great, brother. What I got off that is similar to the last one. Self-love has to be practiced. Self-love has to be taken in. And basically what he's doing is explaining when that argument does pop up in the example that he just gave, the best thing is to understand, first of all, it's a reflection of our own self coming back at us, but also we have to really dig into that concept of that person and why they're doing it. Try to be empathetic to them. Try to put yourself in their shoes and see why they're doing it. Treb's explained a million times something, I think he called it the wounded animal syndrome. Yeah. It's when someone's emotionally or mentally hurt, disturbed, broken down, they're going to lash out. It's all they can do. I know that happens to a lot of people when they get really, like when I was disconnected, it was easier for me to lash out to make you feel my pain. You know, instead of trying to talk it through or to work, I wanted you to feel what I was feeling because I was upset. So I projected that out to you. And understanding another person's perspective in that is very vital to being able to work on relationships, or at least to not let it affect you negatively. So you're not perceiving this person in a bad light, being able to still love them and practice that love on yourself.
Absolutely, brother. Yeah, and like I said, this is not easy. We're just learning these processes now. We've all been in situations where the conversation starts nice, and then you feel something coming from the other person that you know is getting you heated under the collar. That's when we have to catch ourselves and step back. It's easier said than done, but we have to understand the dynamics that are going on with the human consciousness. There's ego, there's judgment, and all the things that come along with this dualistic third dimension that we're in. So basically all of this knowledge helps us just create new belief systems to start to understand that we really, if we love ourselves, the most important thing we can ever do, your outer reality has no other choice than to give you that love back. So it's always, that's really, if we leave the house in the morning, loving ourselves, it will change your reality. It's guaranteed. I mean, it works. It definitely works. So it's just another example from the last clip of how we need to start creating these new belief systems so we let go of the judgment and let go of the ego, and everybody will be fine.
Absolutely, bro. I think you pegged that one right on the head. We'll take another caller now. I know everyone's been on hold for a little bit right now. So the 248 area code, who do we have with us this evening?
Hi, Rob and George. Phil Malika, how are you today?
Good, how are you?
All right, so how you doing, bud?
Awesome. Calling
nice
from Clarkston, Michigan.
Oh,
Your
yeah.
Michigan brother.
Michigan brothers, huh?
That's right. So, I wanted to just say I really appreciate what you guys do, sharing your time and resources and talents, and very much appreciate it. Love keeping track of you on Facebook, and this is a great show, and I'm really excited about Daniel Scranton and the Creators next week. That's going to be epic. I've had a couple sessions with them, and they are amazing. So your listeners will be really pleased with that show. They're going to enjoy it a lot. Creators are something else.
Yeah, they're awesome entities, and it's really a blessing that we have Daniel on with us, and look forward to the exciting show.
Oh, absolutely, and we're glad too to be here to share our time with us. As you know, it's our highest excitement too, and this gives us just as much happiness and joy as it does to the people who are enjoying it. I know you're definitely one of them. What kind of things did you call for tonight? What did you want to talk about, maybe?
Well, there was a couple of things. One was, I wanted to encourage people to look around their own neighborhoods and localities and think about starting up a meetup group. I've got 2 meetup groups going here in Clarkston. One is Consciousness Evolution Group, raising our frequency, and the other one's a UFO ET group. And I have them 3 out of 4 weeks a month, and I get between 12 and 20 people every time, and people just love the meetings. We just have a great time hooking up like that and being able to meet face to face and sharing our stories and our inspirations and our thoughts, and we all learn a lot, and it's great energy. So it's a really good idea if people are interested in connecting with people in their own community.
Oh, absolutely, Philip, and that's something that I'm excited about too, because I know Clarkston, even though it's a little bit of a drive for me, it's not that far, and I've been very excited to get some time to come out there and share a day with you guys, because I really think that it would be great to get a hold of a lot of more like-minded people. The place I live at, unfortunately, is not highly populated. Kalamazoo's a decent-sized town, but there's no spiritual community in it. So I'd love to be a part of that locally.
Oh, well, we'd love to have you out here. You've got an open invitation, so it's just a matter of us putting it together. But, I see that already taking form.
Oh, that would be beautiful. And I know George, he lives within a decent radius of us as well, and I know that he has came to visit myself several times from where he lives, and I think maybe one time maybe both of us can team up and go out there together. I think it would be great. The more the merrier, huh?
Oh, would that be so much fun?
Great. That would be very, very great, and I appreciate your call. Is there anything else you want to talk about tonight?
If you guys have time and you want to touch on them, I wondered if Treb has said anything about Comet ISON and what kind of effect that's going to have on our experience here. And then the other thing was the Intergalactic Alliance. I've been looking into that a lot more lately, or the whatever Galactic Federation or whatever it's called. But my question for Treb was, I understood, and I could be wrong, that the reptile races are not involved in that alliance, and also the Greys are not involved in that alliance. And I'd be curious what Treb had to say about those things.
Oh, absolutely. I think we got time to cover one of them. The one that's most interesting to me, from what Treb said before, the Galactic Alliance thing, Galactic Council is the name that he's given it. It's true that there is no direct connection to reptilian entities in that council itself. But this council has tens of thousands of subgroups, and Treb is in one of the subgroups as well. Their race is going to be projected with a good probability to be one of the very first races to join the large council, the Galactic Council. There's a few reasons why they haven't yet, and they're working on that now. As their race is a collective consciousness, so is ours. So idealism's complete agreement is never 100%, even though their collective is much more resonant than ours, or more at one with ours. There's still a few concepts of theirs that are within the older entities. Once they pass away and physically die, then the whole planet will be on one page about certain subjects. There's a few subjects about in their planet that they've got to deal with. So once that happens, they'll be one of the first, if not the first, reptilian hybrid races to be a direct part of that. But there's a lot of subgroups. And from what I've heard from Treb, there are actually quite a few gray entities. They're not the grays, the Zeta Reticuli that come here and do all the hybrid programs with humans, but there are ones that look pretty much just like them. There's variations of grays, tall, small, skinny, wide, big, and actually those specific races will be, or already are, a part of the Galactic Council as it is. So, and I know that's a perception-based too, and I know that descriptions on what grays are can be greatly dependent on the actual answer there. Maybe the entity is channeling that, is perceiving those grays as that one specific group of grays,
right?
Instead of the whole thing. And what did you want to add to that too, brother?
Well, I think you're absolutely right. Yeah, it's different. We have to understand there's an infinite amount of entities that are out there in this multiverse that we're associated with, and there are grays, the reptilians. We can't forget that all of creation is source light. It's the variance in vibration, their vibrational frequency that kind of separates them. And I'm assuming that they judge themselves too by their own vibrations. So when you said, brother, about Treb's collective consciousness, they're probably being looked at with those older age ancients that still might be having a lower vibration. So I'm sure they judge themselves by the collective vibration, but have their leaders or speakers that speak on behalf of each of their groups, and with the grays as well. Grays that's something that we humans put a name on, but there's many higher vibration grays as well. So we really shouldn't, that's another judgment, and we shouldn't put that judgment on there. But we have to know that they're all working together and doing the best. They're all evolving as well. They're all going through their certain ascension periods as well. So I think it's wise not to really to try to judge that, because we really don't have that higher consciousness to be able to do that. We can only speculate at this point, but it's good to discuss that so we can expand our minds on it. So I think that's great, brother.
Absolutely, brother. And the one extra thing too I wanted to add real quickly is that with Treb's race there is the group of older, and one of the most important factors in that is a defense system. That's what Treb's planet calls. It's like an army. Other people describe it as an army. It's a defense system set up, and the part of the Galactic Council is that there's no defense systems needed. And some of the very oldest entities in their race believe that defense systems, because there's negative and positive entities, as a collective consciousness works, you have a galaxy that's full of entities of both sides. And this is why they feel that you can easily co-create a situation with all the positive and negative. It doesn't work like the law of attraction on the singular or even a collective of one planet as it does a collective of collectives. It's a totally different routine with collectives of collectives. That's a lot of energies co-creating together. And out of that, there's a very small probability that they could be attacked Treb said it was less than 0.3 or 0.4%. But they believe that because that probability exists, they should have a defense system. And once these entities, I believe he said there's only less than 100 of them left on the planet that carry that, they don't even carry it as a fear or as a worry. It's about tradition for them because their age group before them did it and the one before that did it. They've had a defense system all the way back into their third density cells when the ancient reptilians and them had a war as well. So it's just semantics at that point. It's nothing that's really, really important in the fact, but it is neat to know that Treb's race will, in highest probability, be the very first race of reptilian or reptilian hybrids that make that. And thank you, too, for pointing that out, Philip. We love the fact that you're here, and we appreciate your call very much. We're getting low on time, and we do have a couple other callers, but we're going to run at least one more clip here before we get headed to the calls real fast, and I'll go ahead and play that right now.
The next question I have for our listeners, Treb, is could you explain when they talk about the masculine and feminine energies being sent to the Earth, how it affects both the masculine and feminine entities on the Earth?
If you are looking at the idea of feminine energy, let us use this first. All of you understand the concept of what feminine versus masculine energy is. But the way that they are affecting women and men are quite different. The women who are able to receive feminine energy makes them be more of themselves. It helps them align with what they truly are. When it comes to a man or one who set naturally masculine energy, this is quite different. It allows them to be able to take the greatest attributes of the feminine energy within themselves. The ability to live from the heart, the ability to live in an emotional state instead of a mental. There are many attributes that will help add on to this. But if you are resistant in growth, if you are resistant in wishing to tap into these energies, then this will cause uncomfortability. Then it will cause emotional distress. And this is the same with masculine energy as it affects the woman differently than the man. The man becomes more of the masculinity that he is, or the masculine entity becomes more. While the feminine energy or woman will experience this masculine energy in a different way. It will give them the ability to tap in to the ideas and concepts of being able to be less emotional in situations, to be able to come with a mindset that is more mind-based or mind-oriented, that will help them navigate through difficulties, being able to use what most humans call to be logic. And this is effective both ways on both sides of this.
I see. So, Treb, in terms of the concept of male and female, the people, our listeners, the collective in general, is the portions equal of male and female energies equal in all?
In what way do you mean equality?
Well, in other words, let's say a female. She's female. Her exterior, her body is female. What percentage of her energy is actually male? In terms of is there a percentage you can give us?
This is an impossible task, as each individual has more percentages of one than the other. It is very common to have a female with more masculine energy than feminine, and the same as in males. Many often look at this as homosexuality or gender displacement, but this is often occurring as well. The idea and concept is that each individual will have their own percentage of this. There are women who live completely in feminine energy with very little masculine, but there are also women who have a very great balance of this, and this balance helps achieve the best of both ideas. If there is an entity, male or female, masculine by default or feminine by default, who have a 50 to 50% ratio, this is the exact idea and concepts of balance. This allows them to have the greatest attributes of are choosing to manifest this energy out into their physical existence.
That was beautiful. That was a very, very beautiful part. What did you take from that, brother?
Well, yeah, I actually learned a lot from that. I mean, it's interesting when he talked about how these masculine and feminine energies will be affecting us individually. It all depends on us individually, how much we're carrying of each one of them. Of course, it's good for on the masculine side. It's good to have more feminine energy in terms of having more, being more emotional and understanding, and more giving and caring, as women are in general. And then in terms of on the feminine side, women are becoming more, maybe less, becoming more stronger and more confident in who they are, and which is always a plus. And at the end of it, the balance of both of them is where we need to be. So that was great knowledge. I learned a lot from that.
Absolutely, brother. And the thing that I found interesting, too, a lot of people ask about homosexuality, gender displacement, things like that. And what Treb is describing is exactly how most people who are homosexual or who have gender displacement, when you talk to them, it's not something they're like, well, one day I woke up and I decided that I like someone of the same sex. It was something that's always been with them. It's a makeup that's been with them since birth. And it's because their physical body represents a male or a female, while their energetic self represents something quite different. And it's a beautiful experience, I would imagine, to have that physical self and the energetic self being so different, and being able to have an experience like that to go through your life. And as difficult as it must seem, there are many people who take great pride in it and they just grab a hold of it and they actually enjoy that experience. And it's difficult, I understand, because the way society looks at it and accepts it. But I give my applause to everyone who's going through that experience, who does have a tough time. I would just recommend to love yourself, understand that it's a perfectly natural incarnation choice, and that it's a very, very beautiful experience if you're able to do the same thing as someone who's in the same kind of body that their energy is. You have to love yourself, you have to learn from your experiences, and you have to be able to appreciate the situation that you've incarnated into, so that you could have your existence as you chose it. So I think that was a real brilliant part in that too. Unfortunately, we're getting very short on time. I know we have 3 callers that we haven't got to, and we're going to go first come, first serve. Crystal River. I know who that is. It's Savita, I believe, isn't it? Are you there, Savita?
Yeah. Yes.
Hi, Savita.
Hey, can you hold on?
Oh, looks like she dropped off there.
Oh, yeah, it does look like she dropped off. All right. Well, the second caller who was waiting in line is the 661 area code, which I do believe is a Skype telephone. Who do we have with us, 661?
Hi, this is Billy. Can you hear me?
Hey, yes. How you doing, Billy?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm new to channeling and all that, and I had 2 questions for you. One, since I'm enjoying your show, one is, when you're channeling and you're gathering that information, or you're actually channeling Treb, how can you tell that is honestly coming from somewhere else and not some kind of a delusional state? And the second question is, do you and George absolutely agree on everything, or is there some point where your guys' knowledge diverges from one another?
Those are very great, valid questions. Let me take the approach of the Treb thing first. Obviously, that's something that I've experienced, and I never ask anyone else to take my word for it. I never say, hey, I've had this experience. I know for a fact that Treb is who he says he is, so you have to believe me. I always leave that to the discernment of the person. Something that Treb taught me, and it's funny because something he taught me is how I would explain it to other people, but basically what I tell people is your heart is the best discernment tool that you've got. Treb made a beautiful saying, and unfortunately I can't find that as we're speaking, but it goes something to the effect of this. Your heart is who you're connected to, that is who you are. Your heart's connected to your soul and directly to your higher self, and it knows better than any entity in the universe. So if you listen to this work and you don't believe that it is anything but a part of my brain that's making something up for survival or whatever, I've heard a lot of people have, that's great. That's perfect. That's absolutely acceptable. The only thing I ever ask anyone to do is listen to the information. And if someone's doubtful about channeling itself, then take out everything, every part of information that entity explains about himself or his experiences, and just listen to the rest of it. And if you're able to do that and go through that whole experience, I would say that you'll find information that will make your life better. And I really, really think that that's a very good and valid question. As far as the getting along, me and George and thinking, me and George are very, very aligned to each other. We've got great resonance. We see the same way on almost every single thing. And the one things that we don't maybe see perfectly together, we're very, very close, and we understand why each other might see it just slightly different. But George resonates with Treb's material. That's how he came to me. And because I channel Treb, and because I resonate with what he is, the teachings are basic. They're the same ideals. So me and George are really, really together on most of the things that we say and do.
Yeah, brother. Yeah, that's about right. I think that as in any information, if you have an open mind and expand your consciousness, you really learn not to. It's not a judgment that you make on what somebody's statement is. It's more of like, this is how I perceive something, and when somebody answers a question or you're having a conversation, you have to understand that's their perception. But in our case, Treb told us 6-8 months ago that we've had previous existences together. So we're obviously some sort of on a soulmate level that we've had past existences together, our two souls. So I'm sure that has something to do with the synchronicities that brought us together to do this. So
yes.
I think that the reason why we resonate together is because there's a reason for it. There are no mistakes. So it's in all of the sessions, it almost seems like we were meant to do this in this existence because of the ascension to. I know myself through past life regression that basically through the past lives you were a teacher, a shaman, and so it really puts it all together on why we're here and what we're doing. It's again, there's no mistakes. So, but that's a great question.
Oh, absolutely, brother. Is there anything right off the bat that you can think of that fundamentally we don't necessarily agree on, maybe about spiritually based topics? Is there anything you can think of? Because I'm looking and I don't
think so. No, I think it's. I mean, we're very, very similar. I mean, the way we think of things, and I think because we both have the expanded awareness of sometimes you say something and it resonates with me, and it's all resonation. Whenever you're talking with someone or you're listening to a channel or a conversation, how it resonates with your heart is when you know it's truth. And so when you have that resonance with another person, and it could be a relationship or anything, when you feel it, in your heart when somebody's being honest with you and telling you things from their heart, there's a resonance there. So but yeah, we're very similar in a lot of ways. Yeah. Sure,
absolutely, brother. There is one thing too that we have talked about, and this isn't really a difference on view, because someone had asked me about that. They said, when I hear George talk, it's almost like he gets more excited about channeling itself than you do, Rob, because I've heard George say things about, this channeled work, listen to it, live it, understand it, because it's very important. While you kind of said, well, it's not as important as it could be. It's the information that resonates with you. But I don't think that's really a difference. I think we're saying the same thing. We're just looking at it from slightly different views. I know you are really, really excited about the channeling work, and so am I. It's the concept of me understanding that whole channeling part with Treb and how hard it was for me to gain that kind of perspective too at first. And when you started with channeled work, it was an experience that you had where you kind of just fell into it and then it all resonated. So it's not really a difference at all. In fact, I think it's the same thing. It's just a little different. I have been gone through lots of ridicule about channeling, and I also understand why people can't resonate with it or believe in it. So that gives me a little slightly different view, but I think it's pretty much the same belief, just from a different level. I think that's about the only thing I could think of, brother. I hate to do this, everybody. We cannot take any more calls nor do any clips. We're very short on time. Is there anything you want to talk about, brother, before we close down?
Well, I look forward to next week. Obviously, we're having Daniel Scranton and the Creators talking next week. I'd like to, just a thing about myself, I kind of, when I started getting into this channeling and kind of deciphering or decoding the messages, I mean, there's a message between the message and whatever they're saying, and depending on your vibrational frequency is how it'll be absorbed to you and how it'll resonate with you. And for me, there's so much knowledge that is being given if we just listen with our hearts to the messages. And for me, there's just so much knowledge. I'm like a sponge. I can't get enough of it. And I don't know why that is, but it is. So there must be a reason for it. But it really is. It's a blessing to be able to kind of try to decipher about the channeling and kind of break it down for people that might be just starting out in the spirituality and understanding channeling and having the like vibration of these groups, which is beautiful. It always helps when there's groups that are like-minded, and we're all going through this together when we understand that we are all one and we're made of this fabric of love. That concept alone is so beautiful to me that it makes me excited to want to share and be involved in this. So it's great, brother.
Oh, absolutely, brother, and that's why I love teaming up with you, brother, because of your excitement about the work we do. For me, I get excited about it, but I don't show my excitedness as much about the channeling itself as I do connecting to people who want to listen to chant. For me, the channeling part is something that I do, and because I do it, it's almost like second nature to me. For people who don't have that experience of doing channeling, as everyone who gets a session with me, they're the same way. They're really excited and happy. And I don't want that to reflect as a lack of enthusiasm from me by any long shot, because I love it just like you guys do. It's just being part of that and doing it for so long, it becomes second nature. It's like having someone who loves pizza and then having someone who works in a pizza shop. It's the same thing. The person might love pizza when they started, but when they do it, they can still love pizza, but just not show that excitement because they're around it every day. And that's kind of the point I was making on that too, brother. And I wanted to also let you guys know, again, just like Brother George said, that there is a session next week with Daniel Scranton from the Creators. Great guy, great channeler. He's going to talk a little about his personal experiences and things that are important in his life. And he's also going to do a channeling session for us. Please feel free to call in if you want to share the message. We'll repost it on Facebook this week so you guys can get it out there. Let anyone know who wants to be a part. The more callers we got, the better. Unfortunately, we couldn't get to all the callers tonight just due to the clips and the focus on the information and everything that was going on. But I want to tell you guys all that we love you guys so much, and without you, the show doesn't exist. I know it's both of our highest excitements, and Brother George is one of the greatest encoders of information, channeled information I know, and I myself am very adamant and very excited about the channeling itself. So together we make a beautiful, beautiful team. And I want to thank Billy, too, for the question. I'm sorry we didn't get you back on here, Billy, but we're in a hurry to get this thing done. Any last things you want to say, brother, before we get to our outro?
Well, I wanted to just remind everyone, again, to try to create these belief systems of loving yourself and understanding the concept of that. We have to understand because we're starting to get the awareness now of why we're here, and through all of this ascension, there are no mistakes why you are listening to this, or you listen to a channel message, or got into spirituality, as a subject matter. But we have to learn to first and foremost love ourselves, love others, do the best we can, and try to make that a part of your awareness, and your life will change. Your life will definitely change. It's changed mine, and I'm really so happy to be able to help others understand their own divinity and love themselves, because we're all equal. All of us are equal, and we're here because we chose to be here in this existence. So it's fun just exposing the reality of why we're here, and understanding all of the beautiful facets of this existence.
Absolutely, brother, and I appreciate that very much. Also, I wanted to give you guys real quick, we've only got 2 minutes left, our email address for the Rob and George Show is the Rob and George Show at gmail.com. We're here every Wednesday, 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock p.m. Pacific time. And we thank you all for co-creating this wonderful event. Make sure you tune in next week to Daniel Scranton. This is the Rob and George Enlightenment Evolution Hour. This is Rob.
And this is George.
And we thank you guys so much for co-creating this. We love you guys.
Love you. Bye-bye.
Bye.